The Democrats are willing to fight and shut this government down in order to save healthcare for millions of working families.
Where do things stand with this looming government shutdown with the deadline just about a little over a week away?
Yeah, I mean, we have to remind the public, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. It is important for also the public to understand that they are refusing so far to negotiate with us.
In the big awful bill, Republicans cut the federal subsidies to the Affordable Care Act, making it impossible for working families to afford to pay for health insurance. My family is on the Affordable Care Act. I have owned a small business for 15 years. I pay for my health insurance. I pay a monthly premium. I pay co-pays when I see the doctor and for my prescriptions, and I have a huge deductible. If the federal subsidies are allowed to expire, my healthcare will go up $20,000 a year. I will still have co-pays and deductibles. I will not be able to afford that insurance, and it will happen to millions of working families in this country. I'm not even talking about free healthcare. I'm talking about affordable healthcare. And doctors' offices and clinics and hospitals will close when people are no longer able to use their facilities, and then we will overwhelm our emergency rooms. The government shuts down in a few days, and House Republicans went home past the deadline, and the president canceled meetings to negotiate. I 100% support the Democrats shutting down a government that is not working for us and is inflicting pain. Please share this information. Everyone needs to understand what's at stake here.
J.D. Vance is lying again, so let's tackle it head on, shall we? What was the lie exactly? Democrats are about to shut down the government because they demand we fund healthcare for illegal aliens. They really do like to bring out the old chestnuts, don't they? And by that I mean that every time Democrats try to get more funding for healthcare, which is what they're doing right now, Republicans lie and say, oh, that's all going to go to undocumented people. While it's not. The wild thing about this is that finding out the truth is just an easy Google search away. First of all, it's really easy to Google what exactly Democrats did ask for, which is a restoration of health funding for U.S. citizens. Second of all, there are so many government websites that show there are a few small groups of qualified non-citizens who get federal health coverage, but the vast majority don't, and haven't since 1996. They are barred from access to most federal benefits, including federal healthcare programs and assistance, including Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program. They're barred from all of it, and yet they still pay taxes, which is pretty wild when you think about it. There are a couple of exceptions. Undocumented people can access Medicaid when they're in the emergency room, or pregnant women sometimes can, infants and children sometimes can. P.S. I know good Christians like J.D. Vance are trying to take that care away from them too, but they haven't done it yet. Other exception is that states can act alone with only state funding and provide Medicaid to other undocumented people if they want to. 6 states avail themselves of this option, but they don't use a penny of federal money, something J.D. Vance knows damn well. Okay, so we've established that the Democrats are not trying to get healthcare for undocumented people in this stopgap bill. So what are they trying to get? They are asking for a reversal of the $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid that Trump and the Republicans made in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Medicaid for U.S. citizens. But J.D. Vance knows if he tells the truth about that, then people will hate him more than they already do, and that's hard. In sum, are Democrats about to shut down the government because they demand healthcare for quote-unquote illegal aliens? No. They are asking for Republicans to put back the funding for healthcare that they took away from Americans in order to give the richest people in the country and the biggest corporations massive unspeakable tax cuts. But hey, why tell the truth when you can lie? Especially because Republicans assume Americans are too stupid to know the difference. Hey, Americans, don't be.
Why did my president get on True Social this morning to tell me that you Democrats want Decepticon surgeries for minors? You still want Decepticon surgery for everybody. Illegal migrants, minors, prisoners. Like, why? You're telling me, by you asking him that, going behind my back, and you asking him that, you telling me my vote don't matter. You telling me and the American people that our vote don't matter. Like, we voted overwhelmingly in the opposite direction of your ideals, and you guys still making demands so that the government don't shut down? Like, who do you guys think you are? How about y'all save that for your campaign and ask your constituents if that's what they want? Because obviously everybody that voted in the opposite direction It's telling you that we don't want that, but yet you still making the same request. Table it for your own campaign and let them put that on the ballot. You don't get to dictate. You lost. You're losers. Y'all lost. Come on, man. Get to work. We still got immigration issues to solve, education issues, health issues. Those are what it matters to the American people, not all this fringe stuff. Whew, y'all gonna piss me off.
This is one of the craziest topics that I've come across. Well, I was just scrolling through X and I came across JD Vance's tweet. Well, it says that Democrats are about to shut down the government because they demand we fund healthcare for illegal aliens. When I was reading that, I was thinking, where have I heard this thing about healthcare? And then I remembered I have made hundreds of videos about Medicaid, Medicare, and this Obamacare thing. It struck my mind like, what is the relationship between these two things? And why exactly are Democrat lawmakers pushing for the shutdown of the government? Also, it's crazy to point out that this is the first time I'm seeing American government divided and also wanting to shut its own. I've never heard of an American government shutting down when, like, all the time I've been alive. Like, I have never heard of that. It sounds crazy to me. But hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and I'm gonna be the host for today's show. Today's topic is a bit tricky. I have no big understanding or no big knowledge about the topic, and I'm just gonna let it free fall. Like, we're gonna listen to more people's opinions from both the Democrat side and also the Republican, so that we can see where we can have a consensus. Because I think what affects citizens affects all citizens. We cannot relate to political class because we are not there yet. We can only relate with what we as citizens experience on the ground. Look, when I go to a hospital, there is no hospital that says that we're only treating Republican peoples or progressives. A hospital treats politicians, it treats a Republican, it treats a moderate, it treats a progressive. So basically, all the things that we face, it's relatable to us regardless of our political standpoint. And that's the reason why I have to listen to both sides and try to understand this issue further. But basically, the Democrats are pushing for the return of Medicaid and the ACA tax credits, of course, from the Obamacare that was there previously. And also healthcare to all peoples regardless of their status. And in one way or the other, I think that as long as someone is sick, they need to get healthcare. They need to get healthcare. Maybe in the long run it needs to be looked at, but regardless of the situation at that time, like, if it's possible, let them have healthcare. But hey, let's not jump into conclusions. Let's continue listening to people's opinions, and then thereafter we can get talking points.
So guys, Donald Trump is talking about having institutions do mass layoffs if the government shuts down. Now, why this is different from other shutdowns is usually during those other shutdowns, the workers would be furloughed, meaning sent home without pay until the government reopened, and then they'd get their jobs back. This time, it's sounding like there's going to be just mass firings, which you're not coming back. And the problem with that is you can't just simply rehire fast, right? You're getting rid of years of institutional knowledge potentially with some of these workers, and you can't just inject all of that knowledge into a new hire with some training sessions. It doesn't work that way. But with that being said, when the government does reopen and all these employees are permanently fired, what is that going to do for the American people? Because it goes just beyond those individuals losing a paycheck. It's going to affect us as well. Like it's going to slow things down, like potential food and safety inspections. We're already having issues with that. We don't need more. It's going to slow down things down, like, Social Security checks getting cut and sent out on time, which a lot of people these days need that to be on time just to afford their bills, their everything. Veterans benefits, things could slow down. That just depends on who they fire and where. So it's not just something you can just simply rehire really fast. And look, like I've said before, this could all be avoided if Donald Trump could just simply come to the table with Democrats and agree no Americans will lose their health care coverage through Medicaid, and nobody that's on ACA, their premiums won't skyrocket. Those are just two basic things that you would think a Christian like Trump would want. Nobody loses health care in America. Yeah, that's so hard to agree to keep the government from shutting down. Be real, dude.
The government shutdown is looming. The Trump administration is saying if it happens, thousands of people are going to be immediately fired who work within the government. And there is no progress being made. Trump canceled his meeting with Democrats. there's nothing happening. Mike Johnson sent the House home till September 30th. That's the deadline to get the deal done to keep the government open. We are at a standstill with this. So unless something changes in the next few days here, the government of the United States will shut down. And this is going to affect air travel. It's going to affect a number of things. It's going to affect people getting their Social Security payments. It's going to be a very serious situation. And Republicans are trying to blame the Democrats, but they aren't unified on their message. The Democrats are very unified on their message. This is all about health care. They want to do the continuing resolution and pass the spending bill, but they want concessions made to bring back things that were taken out by Trump's big, beautiful bill regarding health care. Now, the Trump administration and RFK are continually getting rid of vaccine recommendations. Now, we're going to have a whole subset of Americans not getting vaccinated, which is going to increase risk, which means people are going to get sick. I mean, can you imagine if polio returns to the United States? How much that costs per case? I mean, that would be completely devastating. These are the things the insurance companies have to think about. How many more cases of measles are we going to have to deal with? We're going to have to build in cost in the premiums to cover this, which means prices are going to go up for everyone. Now, one of the things the Democrats are really fighting for is they want the Obamacare subsidies to have a permanent extension on them. They are set to expire by the end of this year. The Democrats want those extended permanently. This affects roughly 20 million Americans in the United States. So without that, 20 million Americans are likely to lose their health insurance. And the numbers are probably really more than that. But guys, this is what this fight is about right now. It is about healthcare, which affects everyone. Every single person in this country. At some point, you're going to have to go to a doctor no matter what. So this is very serious and very important. So make sure you get out there and write your Republican reps and tell them to get back to work and get this done and protect healthcare.
Hey, what's up, America? Democrat government shutdown. So Chuck Schumer of the Democrats is now threatening to shut down the government if the Democrats don't get their way. Of course, the Democrats want $1 trillion, some of that going to food stamps for illegal aliens and health care to illegal aliens, and various other bullshit projects like $500 million to government media. And Donald Trump basically said, yourself. I'm not going to be giving food stamps and health care to illegal aliens. What the is wrong with you? But Democrats are standing firm that the American people will be paying for undocumented immigrant health care and food stamps. Democrats never fought that hard when it came to American citizens losing food stamps. Democrats never gave that much of a shit when it came to American health care. Even with the Affordable Care Act, they didn't fight this hard. But now Democrats are threatening to shut down the government unless illegal aliens get resources from you, the taxpayer. How about know and go yourself? I would rather have the government shut down than give illegal aliens health care and food stamps. I don't know what the you think this is. This isn't rob my ass to pay for somebody that's illegal day. That's not what we're doing here. This is I get to keep my money and they can go off back to their country. That's what this is. And you're going to do that. And if you have to shut down the government, I don't give a f. My money is done going to illegal aliens.
I was previously in support of the Democrats forcing a government shutdown, and I have since changed my mind, and here's why. Number one, the Republicans are never going to acquiesce to the demands of the Democrats, and it would be way more likely that after a couple of weeks of a government shutdown, the Democrats would have to acquiesce, and nobody wants to see that. I do not want to see that. Number two, people hate government shutdowns, okay? And the party that forces the government shutdown is always to blame, and they're never looked upon favorably for that act. It's not like people are out here like, yeah, the Democrats are standing on business, because no, people don't see it that way. People are not informed enough to understand what the issues are or what are the demands that the Democrats had and why those demands impact their daily lives. Since we already know that the Republicans would never acquiesce to the demands of the Democrats, I say we just let the Republicans get all of these policies that they're trying to impose, let the impacts of those start to happen. And I get that a lot of Democrats are going to be hurt by that, but the outcome's going to be the same either way. A lot of Republicans are going to be hurt by those policies, particularly the Obamacare subsidies. We should go into a whole other videos to explain that, but when those subsidies are not renewed, people's health insurance premiums are going to skyrocket, and people are not going to be able to afford it, and they're going to have to let go of their health insurance. That is going to be a catastrophic situation for the Republicans. And to be honest with you, we're only a couple months away from that. So why would we risk a government shutdown right now on September 30th when we can wait a couple of months for the Republicans to cook themselves, like literally cook themselves, when people get the bill for their new insurance policy? Let them stew in that, okay? Because that's going to carry us into the midterms where we can have another message around healthcare like we did in 2018, and we can win back the House. The Senate, I don't know about that. That would be a miracle, but at least the House. So that's how I feel about it. I'm really curious to know how other people feel about it.
So guys, according to what I've heard from these different speakers from the progressive side and conservative side, I feel like there is a lot of misunderstanding. While some Democrats feel like they are pushing for something significant here, Republicans feel like these people are always halting processes that the government needs to move forward, but it's the Democrats or the progressives that are always dragging down the government. But how I see it is that this is not just a budget fight. I think it's a battle between who gets care, who gets cut, and who gets counted. For Democrats, they feel like they have never set stakes this higher. They feel like they are restoring health, they are restoring dignity, and also restoring public trust, which should go on into the near future. This is at this point that we are trying to see, like, what happens if Democrats win? What happens if they finally manage to make the government shut down? And I had a couple of things that I had written down over here, and so this is what I think if Democrats win. First of all, I think that millions will manage to keep their ACA benefits or subsidies, which I think is going to affect or impact the Medicaid coverage, which would most likely be restored. For the ACA subsidies, of course, it's like I talked about it previously, the Obamacare and the tax credits that come about with the healthcare thing. And also, if they manage to do that, then it means that the immigrant families can also have access to basic health services, which obviously Republicans are really fighting it off, saying that why should they pay for someone who is not even a US citizen to access healthcare? Obviously, it's not their problem. They don't feel obliged or obligated to do so. But Democrats feel like they can pay for their healthcare and as well as the aliens' healthcare. And this is what is pissing off the people from the Republican side. And it's just a back and forth. It's like a tug of war between these two sides. And the third thing, if Democrats win, is that it shows that Democrats can leverage the minority power to protect core values, which is exactly what Republicans don't want. Because if once the Democrats manage to shut down the government, then it means that the next legislation that Republicans put across would really be fought, and it's most likely not going through, because these people would be stubborn and they would have grown confidence from exactly this event happening. So we've got between today 26th to 30th of September to see if government is going to shut down or not. But what happens when Republicans win? Of course, that is not even something I'm going to refer to my nose. Obviously, it's going to be the opposite of what happens to if Democrats win. The ACA subsidized Medicaid coverage will be lost, and when this happens, then that means that premiums are going to be high for any healthcare services or any health insurance that one takes, or just the health budget for an individual. Another thing would be obviously the aliens will lose or will not retain health access. It will be difficult for them. If this happens, there's gonna be a limit to access to healthcare for people who are needy, like the old, the children, and those people who are just vulnerable in the community. So it's just something that, in one way, I hear what Republicans are saying. On the other side, Democrats are really pushing for something. They want public trust into the future, as well as restoring what health stands for the peoples of America. And therefore, the progressives are really congratulating the Democrat lawmakers for pushing for this, because this is defending healthcare as a moral issue, while the Republicans are condemning the Democrat lawmakers as well as people from the progressive side for them halting government from passing bills that would help Americans in the long run. While for the moderates, they are just angry and scared at the same time, uncertain of what will happen when the government would shut down, because it's not only health sector that would be affected, but every other sector that mostly these people are dependent on. They are also not in support of healthcare being suppressed for vulnerable groups, and also they are in for the protection of healthcare as a right to peoples of America. So it's one of those topics that is gonna be talked about in the coming days, and I'm gonna be sure to follow it up. We've got only 4 days, and I'm sure I'm gonna make like 2 videos just to confirm what would happen and what this means for America going forward. But hey guys, what do you think? Do you think the government is gonna shut down because of what the Democrats are pushing for? Do you think the progressives are finally gonna win this, or do you think the Republicans are gonna stand firm and just halting this whole process of Democrats trying to block this motion? Let me know what you do think in the comment section down there below. Your thoughts, opinions will be really insightful. Don't be shy to put it across. Even if you dispute, do so respectfully in the comment section down there below. Also, don't forget to go and check the creators that have featured in this video today. Their usernames have been embedded in the stitched videos as always. Go on to their TikToks, follow, like for this video. Make sure you smash a huge thumbs up button. Consider subscribing, turn on post notifications so that you may not miss my next upload. Danny here, signing out. Peace.